Hi everyone, I'm grateful for another opportunity to share a few thoughts with you. I would like to share with you today something I learned from Joshua chapter 2. This is about the story of the two spies sent to spy the land of Jericho following the crossing of the Jordan. We all know the story of how the two spies went into Jericho to seek out the land, and the king got wind of it. So they hid in the roof of Rahab's house, covered by some stalks of flax. They just about managed to escape and got back to Joshua to give a report. This is the report the spies gave to Joshua in Joshua 2 verse 24. They said to Joshua, "The Lord has surely given the whole land into our hands. All the people are melting in fear because of us." I wondered at how the two spies could give such a positive report when there were so many opportunities for negativity. I believe that they acknowledged the negative, but they chose, and the key here is that they chose not to focus on the negative and therefore not to report it. I would like to point out all the negatives they could have reported, because many of us, if you're a little bit like me, have a natural tendency to be drawn to the negatives of situations and therefore report events back to ourselves with a negative leaning. So, what the spies could have done if they were me in my natural state, and God is helping me overcome my natural state, but what they could have done is, number one, they could have filtered out the statement of Rahab, suggesting that it didn't count because she not only was she a mere woman, but she was also a prostitute. They could have discounted those powerful words spoken by Rahab. They could have zoomed in on the king of Jericho, who was now aware of what the spies were planning and was planning a response. You could argue that how could an espionage mission be a success if the king of the land knew about it? They could have zoomed in on the king of Jericho's knowledge of the espionage mission, but they chose not to. They could have considered the mission a total failure because the king chose about it. They could have responded to the feeling of fear they experienced when they were hiding in Rahab's house and the risk of getting caught, but they chose not to focus on their fearful feelings and chose not to report it. I have realized that in my life, it's not really about what is happening around me, but it is my interpretation of what is happening and what narrative I report to myself. There could be an event where so many things happened right, but somehow it's that one little thing that went wrong that I zoom into, and suddenly it can color the whole experience and my memory of it. We need to be careful about how we report things to ourselves, and we should be aware of the tricks of the devil. Just after learning this from my devotions, I went on to review the news on Daily Mail, and I saw this clip, which is a case in point. It shows how the devil tries to influence us by the way things are reported. This Daily Mail report read, "Britain reports 138 more coronavirus deaths as fatalities continue to drop. But the average number of new COVID cases are higher than it was last week." The number of deaths dropped. However, the words that were written in capital was higher. The infections were higher. Daily Mail was telling us, please discount the fact that the deaths had dropped, but focus on and zoom in on the fact that the infections were higher. This is a trap of the enemy. So many things are not going well during these times, but many good things are happening as well. We can choose what we focus on. We can choose what and how we report events to ourselves. It is that decision that will determine whether we will be victorious like Joshua and the children of Israel as they faced the Battle of Jericho, or if we are going to zoom in on the bad and filter out the good and report to ourselves terrible narratives. I believe that God will give us eyes to see the good, to report the good, and to rise up as brave soldiers during this time and to prosper victoriously. Thank you for listening. I hope you're encouraged.